All right, the next run is ready. We are all set to go here, so I'm going to throw it to DentedRazor for Soul Blazer any %. Take it away, my friend.
Good morning, everybody. I am DentedRazor. I've played Soul Blazer a couple times, and
just a few, yeah.
Providing commentary to my right.
I am puwexil.
And I'm TheAxeMan.
Awesome. And really excited to show this game to you. I've been working on pretty hard for the past couple of years, and it's been a lot of fun. So
yeah, how hard do you have to work to get the world record on this?
Quite a few hours.
Thanks, you folks are all in for a very nice treat today, right? With this run. All right, so yeah, we'll just need the name of the Soul Blazer cut off, and then after the last line of dialogue in this intro cutscene, we'll be ready to start the timer.
Yeah, the master tells you that since you're going down among the people, you must choose a name because, you know, heavenly people don't have names. The master.
They just know. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
All right. Well, in a surprise to probably not many people, the hero will be named Everhate.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
GL Underblame Everhate. Yeah, I guess just so if anybody doesn't know, too, Everhate was one of the first speedrunners of this game who unfortunately passed away in 2016, but he definitely left an impact with a lot of people, myself included, and I'm glad people still remember him 9 years later, too.
Absolutely. Yes, should we do a countdown and get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we'll go from 3. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so Soul Blazer is a really fun action RPG made by Quintet and released for the Super Nintendo in 1992. And the backstory of the game ties in very, very heavily to the gameplay in that a greedy king named King Magrid created a machine, or had a scientist named Dr. Leo create a machine to summon the ruler of evil, Death Toll, in order to sell the souls of his people for money. And then once that happened, then the master, or God in the Japanese version, sent you, the Soul Blazer, who's basically an angel, to go release the souls of the people from the monster lairs. So, yeah, in this little tutorial here, we get our first sword and then seal our first monster lair by defeating all the goblins that come out of it, and then we also get the soul of Magician, who joins us as this rotating blue orb around us that, that'll factor in a fair bit, too. So then we head into Grass Valley, our first town area, because there's kind of 6 towns that we'll be going through on our way to release the souls, and then now we head into the underground castle, our first dungeon.
And since we are some sort of heavenly disciple, we are able to talk to plants and animals, and that'll be part of the plot here. So you can see kind of like the basic strat for some of these things is Dented is going to try, and when possible, he's going to kind of clear multiple layers at once. So, you know, one enemy from one layer, one from another. And the idea is that some of these layers, the enemies just keep spawning. And sometimes they spawn one at a time, and you have to beat one before the next one even spawns. Other times, you have to, they kind of keep spawning, and you just keep beating them. And sometimes they spawn so slowly that way that it seems like it might be spawning one at a time, and we have to beat one before the next one shows up. But really, it's that multi-spawn pattern, so...
Yeah, like this fight right here, I always think is a great example of how kind of high-level play in Soul Blazer works, where he does have to seal both of these layers on the screen right now, but they're not quite on camera together, so he's kind of bopping back and forth to keep enemies spawning so that he can clear them out around the same time.
And look at that gem count. This is, like, amazing.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you do not have to seal every monster lair in the game, too, especially not for an 80% speed run.
Yeah.
It's a really big part of the challenge, especially with first learning the run, too, is just remembering which layers to seal and which to skip.
Thankfully, the townspeople don't voice their disappointment about that.
Yeah, and then every time you defeat an enemy, they drop a gem, which is just effectively MP for your spells. Like they'll always drop something, and then the size of the gem is just how many gems you get, and the rate of getting bigger gems gradually goes up as you make progress in the game. Nice.
I saw me glitch there.
Yeah, so this is the first of many intentional deaths that Dented will be doing throughout the run too. Because when you die in this game, you do not lose progress. You get kicked back to the Master's Shrine, the hub for the world you're in, and you do lose all of your gems, but you don't lose progress. So that's going to be used extensively to skip backtracking, because you're still getting introduced to the the soul releasing mechanics. At the start of the game here, we kind of have our first point where we get stuck in the dungeon and we have to leave to come back to town to kind of interact with some of the souls we leave, and that's basically we have to start by releasing this individual here who kind of forgets the rule of righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and we have to turn the wheel for him. I think if you talk to him again, I think he admits that he was turning the wheel the wrong direction in order to power the elevator that lets us get to the next part of the underground castle. That little dancing flower right there has a soul, too.
Yep.
That's one of the neat, kind of really interesting things about the world building of this game, too, is just that everything has a soul. Not just people, not just animals, but also plants, and even like doors and stairs and stuff, too.
As it says in the opening, every creature had a soul, and the king got, one piece of gold,
1 piece of gold
per soul.
Per soul, yeah.
Yeah. And if you get a soul, and if you, you get a piece of gold for the soul of every plant and every bird and so on, I guess that could make you pretty rich.
That would be a pretty nice contract if, even every blade of grass or something
that
gives you a piece of gold.
I mean, the problem is, if you're the king and all of your people get, sacrificed that way, you don't have much of a country left.
Yeah, and also the king kind of has a soul, too.
Yeah.
Probably didn't really think about that.
It didn't work out very well for him.
Yep. All right, so now we're releasing Lisa, who's the daughter of Dr. Leo, the inventor. Again, the inventor who was forced to help King Magrid summon Death Toll. She'll be somewhat important later.
Yeah, word of advice, if you are handy with computers, don't make a machine that summons, a demon.
At least don't tell anyone about it.
That's right.
I kind of like the little touch here too, that we're rescuing the architect here, and the lair for the architect's soul has a wall built around it.
The game does a really good job in kind of helping you kind of see those little hints, kind of intuit which ones to go for.
Yes, this is one of many micro optimizations that Dented has found too. Is actually taking that route across the wrong moving conveyor belt instead of going up and around. Yeah, these are really slick too. Because you notice he's actually able to detach his soul of magician, that blue soul around him, from the normal orbit by just kind of pressing against a wall and holding the D-pad. And he was able to use that to snipe a couple of these shooter goblins early.
Yeah.
So that he only had 2 left or so when he actually got to their lair.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing really well with gems.
Yeah, those shots are harder to line up than they look, too, just because the goblins kind of suddenly lurch backwards before they shoot sometimes and then miss.
And since the shots are coming out of your soul that's constantly moving around, you have to kind of line that up while you're moving and it's moving. And
yeah, by the way, do not rush, but be patient.
That's right.
Yes. Always a bit of irony when we do a speed run. So we also picked up a magical item earlier called the Dream Rod, which I like to say lets us get our Freddy Krueger on by entering the dreams of NPCs here and there, and starting with Lisa. Whenever you find somebody that's asleep in the town, that's generally a clue to pick up the Dream Rod. And in most cases, doing that will just kind of let you make some kind of change to the either to the dungeon or get a treasure or something like that. In this case, it's actually mandatory. But yeah, Lisa isn't really too happy with us invading her dreams, so she tells us to go away, and then we do it.
Yeah, I think she's supposed to be sort of like a tsundere heroine, because she kind of told us get away, and then she says, "Oh no, stop, wait, come back." But no, sorry.
Yeah, she does have a fair bit more text, but no, we got to go fast.
This is a speed run.
We don't like being yelled at either.
Yeah. We're heading back in a third time through here.
Yeah, this is a much short. This is our last visit here, and it's pretty short too. And then, in order to set up the intentional death to get out of here faster, Dented is just taking a lot of intentional damage as he walks here too.
Shouts name faker for that strategy.
Was it the name faker shuffle or something?
Yep.
Nickname for that.
I could call it
Yeah.
that.
That was something that just impressed me very greatly when I was practicing with Dented the other day. Is just how many nicknames he has for different strategies and stuff, and a lot of them are named after the person that found them. Because yeah, there's been a really rich history of speedruns for this game, and a lot of people that have contributed things to the route.
Oh yeah.
All right, so yeah, the last thing we needed to do in the underground castle is get Leo's brush, because I guess Leo was quite the Renaissance man, because in addition to being able to like build machines that summon demons, he's also a great painter, and his paintings can come to life.
Yeah, and as we'll find out later, also an exotic pet fancier. And a dad, Lisa and...
Yeah, so Leo's painting is a bit of a difficulty spiked here too, both casually and in the speed run, because you're kind of you're intended to have gotten an armor upgrade by this point called the Iron Armor, which we skipped because it's not required. So enemies are now doing 2 damage instead of 1, and a little subtle mechanic that you may have noticed when we released some souls earlier is that Dented got a little bit of healing. I keep forgetting if that's based on the world you're in or the level you're at.
It's based on your level.
Your level, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not. But since there actually are not any souls you need to rescue in the paintings. All the layers we're doing are for kind of dungeon progress, so we don't get any healing there. And then get that really nice swag shot there by kind of watching where the orb is at when we finish clearing the text box for the medical herb.
Lieutenant's weaving in some shots from his fireball. The fireball does a bunch of damage. You see our swinging this sword of life. The first sword is not the strongest sword, so if you can get the fireballs in there, you get some extra damage, and you can one-shot these enemies.
And another swag shot there, just get a bit of extra experience. All right, so then we have our last layer that we need to seal before Solid Arm, the first boss. Should probably quick explain how medical herbs work, just because this fight is pretty fast. So yeah, medical herbs in this game are kind of like a re-raise effect, where if you have a medical herb equipped and then lose all your health, you'll get a one-time full heal. And that's really important for the strategy we're about to use for Solid Arm here. So say hi to Solid Arm. And say bye to Solid Arm.
They look simple, but that's a very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, because those are conveyor belts in the middle of the room. Yeah, Quintet decided to make this fight a little more challenging in the English version of the game compared to the Japanese version. So yeah, it's all conveyor belts, and you're having to maintain a pretty careful distance from the boss in order to be poking it with your sword. Which through a technique called crab walking, where you hold the L or R buttons to kind of walk in place with your sword out. But if you get too close, he'll attack you and become invincible. And there's kind of a little bit of a safety strat you can do where once you line up the poke, you can kind of step to the left in order to buy a little more time. But that is very tight as far as actually getting that quick kill. But yeah, I guess and then. Generally, once you've defeated a boss, you release the leader of the town, who then gives you kind of one of the stones you need in order to access the world of evil, where Death Toll lives. But I guess while we're wrapping up this world, I guess maybe we can have a word or so from our host.
Yeah, I've got a really special donation here. Dent in Your Head sends in $200 for Nami. Says, DentedRazor, you have supported me through all my ups and downs of mental health and through me discovering my best self. I'm so grateful you and I found each other, and I'm honored to be a part of your life and to help support you to be your best self. We, myself, and our feral child are so proud of you. Thrilled you are over there in Denver today, playing one of your favorite games for an amazing charitable cause. We're so excited to cheer you on here at home. good luck and or blame Everhate, and here's hoping for no swoops.
Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. All right, so now we're in Greenwood, the second world, which is a very it's a very nature-themed world where pretty much all of the residents of the town are animals who, since we're an angel, we can communicate with. So we have, I'm kind of blanking on the name of this swamp area we're going through, but
Lost Side.
Lost Side, the swamp.
Lost
Yep.
Side.
Yep. So we
So you can see there, Blazer is just so awesome that all he has to do is hold out his sword, and the enemies take damage from it.
So Dented's gonna try to kill these bushes here.
Nice.
Nice. That was really slick.
Yeah. Dented has a setup that makes that more consistent, where he spawns the enemies, and as soon as he spawns the enemy, he walks off screen so that it stops moving, and that lets him make sure that they don't walk away. And because if they walk off screen, they're not going to come back, and you've kind of lost your chance to open up that layer early.
Yeah, so those bush roots, or grabby vines, as I've heard them called, they're kind of a bit of an annoying source of randomness too, because the direction they move when they come out of the lair is random, and they're invincible when they attack with their vines. We didn't get the high five there.
Yep, no high five. Yeah, let's do Omegas for this nice little path here.
Nice. Grab another medical herb to replace the one we just used. Yeah, and, worth noting too, get a full heal when you level up, which is going to matter in a couple specific cases too.
Yeah. So you can see Dennett's using that crab walk like almost constantly, because it's really helpful to face the right direction. For one thing, that's the direction that your magic's going to shoot out. And so you're kind of controlling which area shot is if you're using magic. The other reason is because the arc of your sword is very important. The end of the arc of your sword has a longer lasting hitbox that does like multiple hits to the enemy and has a stronger stun effect. You don't get that stun effect at all when you're poking out your sword. You damage the enemy, but you don't get the stun. And so in some enemies, that's going to be really important to get that stun, because it helps you. Ooh.
Kind of rough luck here too with all
this
all the
one.
invincibility cycles.
Leroy Jenkins didn't go too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of improvision with the RNG that can happen here. In some cases, the enemy movement is random that we see here. In other cases, the other thing is that the gem drops are so random, especially early on. As you advance through the game, as you go to another act, the chances to get the big gems increases. And so we're kind of living for those bigger gem drops, because it's a really big difference. The little ones that you see that we're getting all the time, they're only 1. The next ones are 5, and the big ones are 10. So you get a lot more for the big ones, and you really need those drops. Even early on, you're getting kind of most of your gems from those.
Yeah, and as you can probably tell too, just a lot of the quick kill strats for combat in this game require magic, which requires gems.
And earlier I grabbed a strange bottle, which I like to call puwexil's pot of possibilities.
Yes. I feel just flattered that just a strategy that I came up with for safety, really, for a part of the third world, ended up making its way in kind of a variation of that, I should say, ended up making it into to world record level strats too. Yep. So yeah, what the strange bottle does, by the way, is it gives you a one time where you can take a death and not lose all your gems.
So quite often, when we take that death warp, we lose all our gems, but it doesn't matter, because if you happen to have used all your gems to cast some magic, then it's not such a big deal to, just drop it all. And, it doesn't matter. Ooh, big gem. Getting some great luck with the gems here.
Please keep doing that game.
Yeah. It's really hard to just understate just how optimized a lot of this combat is too. Like in the upstairs part of the fire shrine here, Dented was actually fighting 3 different monster lairs at the same time. Two that he was, one that was in front of him, one that he was kind of baiting the enemies to move into sword range, and then the third that he was shooting shooting at with his fireballs.
Yeah. Get used to splitting your brain in multiple pieces, but they come back together pretty nice.
Yeah. And also some, the disappearing lizards go in a random direction, and so there's some improvisation there to get them as soon as you can. If you can get them with the back of your sword arc, you get that stun effect again, which is really important to get them to kind of like stay in one place. These lizards that don't disappear, it's a lot easier to kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the teleporting lizards can be pretty big jerks sometimes, since the movement, the direction they move is random, and sometimes that doesn't really matter, but sometimes it does, depending on the room layout.
So that enemy layer and going back and forth across this and going to this gem, it's all to get this magic. And it's going to be worth it, because this is like the best magic spell in the game, and Dented is going to make a lot of use out of it.
Yep. Yeah, there's 8 total spells in this game. The fireball spell that we started with, and then the light arrow that we pick up, and it's just so good. This is the only one that we're going to be using until the final boss. Yes, this fight right here, has a fair bit of randomness to it as far as kind of how many clean opportunities you get to snipe lizards on the next platform.
Yeah, Dented was trying to get a shot in and beat some of these lizards before he got to this platform and snipe them with a shot from his light arrow, but they kind of ran away. But now he's got a lot of gems, so he's gonna shoot these guys. Even if he can get them with his sword, it's a little faster to get them with the light arrow shot, because it kills them in one shot. And again, since a lot of these enemies spawn one at a time, if you can beat each one faster, then you can kind of clear that whole layer faster.
And then Dented was doing a lot of intentional damage on these heated platforms to save time, but you don't get anything out of taking damage here, because you don't have to kill lizards here to get the next one to spawn, so you just kind of wait out the cycle at no cost.
So most of the enemy layers, they keep spawning enemies when they're on screen, so as long as you can get close enough that the layer's on screen, then they'll keep spawning. And so the kind of managing the placement of your screen and the placement of you, since the screen follows you, one little optimization is moving up and then left or right, because the screen is wider than it is taller. And so you can kind of get the enemy layer on the screen a little bit faster that way. Yeah,
that last area too is also a bit harder than intended to, because you're meant to have an armor upgrade called the ice armor by this point too, which when you're first learning this run, I do recommend getting the ice armor.
Yeah.
It costs about like 2.5 minutes, but it gives you a ton of safety both here and later in the game. But yeah, high level play completely skips it, and that also has some ramifications later on too.
Yeah. Even if you get the ice armor, so in order to get the ice armor, you have to get some layers in the fire shrine. And so you're probably not going to have it for the fire shrine, but there's going to be heated floors in some other areas in the game, and you can kind of switch back to it, get a lot of use out of it.
And shoutouts to our second sighting of Turbo the dog in RPG Limit Break this year too, because Turbo the dog was kind of a mascot character for Quintet, the studio that made this game, along with Robotrek, one of our earlier games, and kind of Turbo found his way into numerous of Quintet's RPGs.
Unfortunately, in this game, Turbo has already passed on, gone to dog heaven, and we only get to see his bones and some memories of him in the bird's dream. And the bird's name is Tiki. I don't know if that's a reference to any.
I don't think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to do a bit of a backtrack there, because the next to get to the next shrine, we need to ride rafts made from the trees of Greenwood, and we kind of need to prove to the trees that we belong here, and Turbo's spirit gives us leaves from Greenwood to kind of show that we have Turbo's blessing to proceed.
Yeah, I guess he was buried with them because he liked the leaves so much.
And this little segment here this is why Dented picked up that 100 gem chest. I like to call this the shooting gallery here, because Dented just kind of popped around to aggro all these enemies and is just kind of spraying light arrows, not indiscriminately. They're very tightly positioned. Yeah, shoutouts to being able to hit behind you with your sword swing, by the way, too. It's not generally not the most efficient for like hits per frame or whatever, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's always great when you can get the enemies like all around you because your swing is just so huge. You can get them all. So this next area is going to be kind of chill. We could go to our host for a little bit here.
That's it's great timing. I have some really good donations here to read, including $50 from TheAxeMan. Right back at you there. Good morning. Let's show some love for DentedRazor. So glad he was able to make it here this year and blaze some souls. And Sporadic Erratic donates $50 and says, had to donate during one of my favorite games of all time. Soul Blazer has so many interesting and different worlds. I was so excited to see what the next one would be the first time I played it. Looking forward to the ocean level. Oops, spoilers.
After you started saying that, though, I was really, really hoping that donation came in here, not during the previous game, though.
Yeah.
All right, so right here, this is a really cool optimization where you saw Dented was kind of dancing around the corners during that last layer fight he was sealing, and that was actually to start spawning some of the next round of teleporting lizards off camera.
Yeah.
Because there's just a really neat kind of strategy you can do there where you start spawning the lizards, but you don't get them onto camera enough so that they start moving, and then that's able to set up a really cool quick kill where you kind of shoot a light arrow right as you bring them onto camera, and then you're able to take a lot of them out quickly.
Yeah. So all enemies, as soon as they spawn, they get to these iframes. You notice that they spawn in, and you can't quite slash them. But in that case, they spawned in, and they didn't move right away because we scrolled them off screen right away. And then we were able to get them with the arrow before they made that first shadow move. Very precise strategy. You have to kind of like move in a very precise way to spawn them, but not keep them on screen too long.
Yeah, and then Everhate, the runner who Soul Blazer is named after, like to refer to this place as Soul Blazer getting its Zelda 2 on, too, as far as all the dark room navigation. When Dented got the Leaves of Greenwood, he walked past a mole that he could have talked to, which was actually another, because there's numerous other souls that can join you to give you effectively upgrades to your kind of rotating soul there, and that actually lets you see in the dark, but there's a lot of dialogue to get it, so if when you get good at the movement, you don't need it. All right, so now we have pretty much the most difficult boss fight
let's
in the
give Dennet
run.
some serious time here.
Cheese shooter.
Very nice. Yeah, so there's no randomness to that fight, but it's just so precise as far as because the statue's movement and attacks is kind of all tied to what you can do to manipulate it. So it just for each of the statues, he just has this kind of tight route as far as waking the statue up and then kind of poking it to death while not getting steamrolled over it, which they can do.
I mean, we're still not wearing armor.
Yeah,
so you 2 or 3 hits.
Yeah, you die in like 3 hits, I want to say.
That, yeah.
A death to that boss is a really big deal too, because when you die, you lose all your gems. And like Dented did unseal the war point there is a little bit of a safety, but if he had taken a death, that would be very costly for the start of the third world.
Yeah. So there is a safety where you can kind of grab some gems from a chest, and then you've got some gems for our next area where magic will be pretty important.
Yeah. Also, shout-outs to Omegas for those Boss 2 strats.
Yes. All right, so St. El's, the third world, is a underwater world where the most of the residents of the town are mer people. This is I think the longest world in the game too, as far as just the amount of required stuff that you have to do to unlock the boss, and then kind of it's largely based around unlocking these mermaid statues, which kind of guide the way to the next path. And shout outs to this music, by the way, too. This game is a really great soundtrack, and this really unique slap bass instrument that's used in a lot of the music, and I really love the the music for the islands of Satherta here. Yeah, so we're in, it's Satherta, the first island, and we get a jerkbird, a tornado jerkbird there. I always Quintet kind of knew that they made that enemy kind of a troll, and that there's no, whenever you have to fight them, it's only like 1 or 2 of them per lair, instead of like up to 8, like some of the enemy lairs have. So your Dented is just kind of hesitating a little bit to get more of those dancing palm trees or whatever they are to spawn, so that they're ready. It's ready to go when he actually gets here. So yeah, he's trying to be mindful of his gem use, just to make sure that he has enough for taking out all these black clams. Because yeah, you can kill them in 1 light arrow, but if you have to use your sword, it is very, very painfully slow. He's trying to be really cautious here too, as far as running down his health to make the next intentional death faster, but not die too early.
Not die before you want to.
Because in pretty much every case, that would be a pretty big time loss. If you
definitely shows where little mistakes can really be punishing there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're only so the placement of your character is real important, because a lot of the enemies, their movement is based on that, and there's sort of like a trick. You've probably seen this happen over and over again. But if you're 1 tile to the left or right next to the enemy, they won't move left or right. It's kind of like a little. It's like a less than, greater than, equal to, like programming error, basically. So if you're 1 tile left or 1 tile up, enemies that track your location won't move to where you are. So like these monkeys here, you can see he moves through you to the right, but once he's 1 space to the right of you, he will not move anymore. We saw Dented, he paused just a little bit in the water there. We got the bubble armor, which lets us breathe underwater.
Yeah, in the 3rd world out of 7, by the way, we're finally getting some armor. And it's not really because we want the defense at this point. It's because we have to have the bubble armor for the passive effect, which lets us breathe underwater. Like, he didn't put it on yet, both because he wanted to take some damage from not having it on underwater, and then also just have less defense from setting up this intentional death more easily. But now we're actually going to be donning the bubble armor, so that we can actually talk to the first mermaid statue and then head to Rockbird, our next destination.
Rock, yeah, bird, yeah. Play this game so much, you just gotta add little things to make it fun.
Little fun thing with the menu system too is that you can actually what I call pre-equip certain things like items and magic, I believe.
Yeah.
Like he did that a couple times earlier on, and then we'll be doing it too with the power bracelet later, where you can kind of point the cursor towards an empty slot that's later going to be filled by something, and then do some menuing optimization that way. So while we're getting some kind of very sublimely chill underwater music and making our way to Rockbird, I think we can hear a word or two from Blaze.
Yeah, got a couple anonymous donations here, a $50 donation and a $10 donation to Nami. Thank you so much for those. I just want to remind everybody watching of a couple things really quick. We do have some bid wars, naming bid wars, and a few incentives for the upcoming Pokemon Let's Go co-op run. And that is the next run after this, so you can name the Pikachu, name the rival, name the player character, a few other things as well. Make sure that you get a donation in for that if you want to. And just another quick reminder that this is the last game in our current prize block. There are 6 prizes that are only going to be available until the end of this Soul Blazer run. For a $10 minimum donation, will enter you to win all of those prizes. So you can check those out on our website. There's some really cool Chrono Trigger stuff. There's some Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy stuff. Just some really cool things to look at. And you can kind of take a peek at our grand prizes for the day as well. So lots of stuff to donate for. Give me more stuff to read. I would love to hear from you. Thank you.
So, yeah, so the theme for Rockbird is that sealing a lot of these layers will drain some of these little ponds and open up more layers. There was one that he could have done in the southeast part of here in order to get a medical herb, which kind of nice in some situations for safety. But yeah, Dented has some really good strats for for the rest of this world and doesn't need it.
You notice we always take out those rocks or clams or whatever they are with magic. If you actually attack them with your sword, they have really high defense. We only do 1 damage per hit. So the magic is really important on those guys.
And then in situations where he's doing multiple layers at the same time, something that's important to do too is to wait for the layers to explode when you're about to release a soul too, because the game is kind of zoning you out and back in, and if you have an uncleared layer at that point, the game is going to reset the number of monsters that are coming out of it. But if you've defeated all of them, then it will stay cleared out.
Yeah. Once the layer pops into the green state, it'll stay that way. So this next section is the volcanic island. And this is our favorite underwater volcano. It is a very special place.
Yeah, a little bit of annoying randomness we'll be facing here too, with due to skipping a companion soul that can despawn falling magma balls too. So
We're also skipping an item called the mermaid tears, which you can pour out at a certain place on the mountain, and stop the kind of cool off the lava. So we're making do without a lot of things that would make this a little easier.
yeah, because mermaid tears are really intended to be kind of a required story item, but just through good routing, with our health and potentially a medical herb too, we can skip that, and then skipping that does also save some time, almost very, very late in the game too.
Wow, great gem luck right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, took out a lot of those enemies there aren't expressly required, but it opens up a shortcut for later, and then gives us some gems that we'll need for Durian. Like Dented was talking about the puwexil's pot of possibilities. Like when I've done runs of this too, I use the strange bottle when I do the death warp off of Rockbird to give myself more gems for Durian. But
Yeah.
Just the combat here is kind of seen a fair bit of optimization to just make it so you can generally make do with the gems you get kind of on the go. Nice.
Yeah, there's been quite a few times so far where we've noticed Dented will beat some extra enemies while he's kind of waiting for the enemies that really he needs to beat to clear the layer. If he can get some other enemies in while he's kind of going through, he can get some either extra experience and the gems, which are both important sometimes.
Yeah, so like Axeman mentioned, Dr. Leo had a very diverse taste in pets, because he had Turbo the dog. I mean, dogs are pretty traditional pets, but he had a pet dolphin named Lou that we just released.
I mean, apparently, Turbo the dog, not only did he ran away first and founded this animal village, and then he died. And so, I guess after that, Dr. Leo decided, well, let's move on to more exotic pets if that's how the dog is going to be.
Yeah, so again, these kind of falling magma balls here the pattern is random, so just need to be pretty careful to not take too much damage, since a decent chunk of our health at this point is spoken for, since we're not using the mermaid tears.
Yeah, there are a few strategies to mitigate how much damage you need to take, but we're going to need to walk on lava. And walking on lava hurts. Ooh, gems.
Nice.
Hey, game, where are these gems when I'm doing runs?
Yeah. I think we can blame Everhate for that.
So if you've noticed, the text is moving fairly slowly. And this is as fast as it gets in this version of the game. It's actually 3 frames per letter that's printed out. And so over the course of the run, it's something like 8 seconds of time by having
8 minutes.
8 minutes, yeah.
Throughout the whole game, yeah.
Yeah, by having an 8-letter name over the 1-letter name that you would normally use.
Based on the name, actually, an
yeah.
eight-letter name is
right,
about like 40, 45 seconds.
Okay,
Yeah, over
yeah.
the course of the whole game. I thought you were talking about like Japanese
Oh, that's
text
right.
differences.
Yeah,
which is
so
about 8 minutes.
Yeah,
or
the
so,
Japanese text. Not only is there less text because Japanese is generally, having a phonetic alphabet, but also the text is displayed faster, one character per frame, and so yeah, it's just so much less text in the Japanese version. That's why the run takes about 8 minutes less.
Yeah. And it's ironic too that Illusion of Gaia, the kind of the pseudo sequel to this, English text is actually a lot faster than Japanese text. They kind of went the other direction. But okay, that was a really clean durian too. I mean, yeah, it was just yeah. If things had gone badly with the falling magma, Dented could have taken a slower route to get to the lair where the mermaid statue is that takes one less hit from the lava. But yeah, we were able to take the fast route. Now
We're going to pick up an important item here, the Thunder Ring. And, if we had gone on to the next island without this, it would have gone badly because we're going to need this ring.
Yeah, this is a really cool item that sadly is only used once and only once, but it is required in order, because you may have noticed that there were some gray monkeys that we walked past on Durian, and those are those were invincible. Like there were some invincible enemies in both Worlds 1 and 2 as well that we just skipped past, because there's some cases where once you've gained a new weapon, you're kind of meant to go back to clear some layers you couldn't before. But in this case, we have a little bit of a shortcut to be able to, because there's a weapon that'll let us hurt metal enemies coming up later, which you'd normally need for those gray monkeys. But that's what the Thunder Ring is going to be for. So this is why Dented used the strange bottle too when he did the Death Warp after Durian, is just to have gems for fighting these crabs here. Just because these are very, very tanky, like as you're seeing here. As we're doing one with the sword, so being able to take some out with light arrows is a nice time save.
Yeah, you can only hurt them when they come out of their shell, and even then, they have strong defense, and your sword isn't doing a whole lot. And you kind of have to predict which way they're moving so that you can get the stun of your sword. And yeah, so just really nasty enemies. And luckily, it's the only time that we actually have to beat those enemies.
Yeah, the aim is very precise on those. So.
So you already got a little taste of what the Thunder Ring does as far as you touch one of these pyramids.
Come on. There we go.
And then that can actually defeat metal enemies.
Technically can defeat anything, but we got to try it sometime with other things. What a good drum solo. Thank you, game. That was awesome.
All right, so we're wrapping up our time in St. El's here. Once we've that was Bluster, the Island of Rain, and then once we get the last mermaid statue, that lets us head to the ghost ship where Skullmaster, the boss, is. And then on our way to the ghost ship, we'll be getting one of the best items in the game for free. I mean, you don't even have to seal Monster Lair for it. You just need to open the chest, which is the power bracelet, and that just doubles the amount of damage that you do with your sword. Yeah, Dented just pre-equipped it there. And that affects both swinging and poking. So yeah, I guess while we're heading towards the boss and grabbing the power bracelet, what you got for us, please?
I have a very timely donation. We were having our little discussion about the text box speed earlier, and I don't think I will ever see text boxes as slow as our previous runs. So on that note, Ghost Kumo sends in $1.30 for Nami and says, "Much love to all the tech for putting up with the last run." Just the tech. What about the host? Come on. Good luck to DentedRazor and puwexil on your runs on this final day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Game has such a good vibe. All the music, it seems like it's just a very positive vibe, very mellow versus other games that sometimes get so tense. So it's really refreshing to play sometimes.
I do have one more donation if I have a second.
Let's take out the boss here. Then we've got a kind of a long cutscene. We'll have some time for. So yeah, so this is the ghost ship. We don't really have to fight anything until we get to the top where the Skullmaster is, and I always find this interesting how big the skull is compared to how small the hands are for whatever this was. But yeah, in the English version, it takes basically kind of 2 1/4 cycle or so. This is a fair bit easier than the last boss, but positioning is still very important as far as just not getting hit, because it'll kill you, and like most of the bosses in this game, like 3 hits or so.
Yeah. Even though we are wearing armor, it's so much damage.
Yeah, and I know Dented optimized that fight a bit too, as far as kind of a position where he can poke both the skull and the hands at the same time too, and kind of mitigate a bit of the RNG with their movement.
Shoutouts to Reef on some of that strategy too. I think I watched his run, saw him do that, and also learned that you can use light arrows on those hands during that time too. So it's just really wild.
Yeah, because for most of the boss fights, I believe you either just can't damage them with magic, or it's just not worth it compared to the sword.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we're heading back to town. We're getting the blue stone, which is the only stone that has a little bit of in-game lore to it too, that we'll be hearing from the Queen. So yeah, I guess we can fit in another donation or plug or something while we're moving on.
Yeah, for sure. Just Joe sends in $20 and says, "Good luck and/or blame ever hate. Put this towards the Chrono Trigger 100% incentive." And
Thank you.
Puwexil, I know you're very interested in that.
I am.
We need just over $200 more to upgrade that run to the 100% category. So
Nice.
getting very close there. And I also just want to quickly remind everybody that exclusive RPG Limit Break and Tantrum merch is now live. You can shop the RPG Limit Break collection featuring shirts, blankets, tote bags, and much more. And what's better, Tantrum merch will donate up to $5 per item sold to NAMI and support its mission. You can grab your gear now at tantrummerch.com/RPG Limit Break.
All right, so the fourth world is the Mountain of Souls, which is has kind of a neat backstory to it too, where a lot of the people in the town are these kind of dwarves or hobbits or something that actually live very short lifespans. Like they only live for about like a year or so, and like if you talk to them, there's like elderly people that are only like a couple months old or so, and the kind of the premise is that they fit a lot of stuff into their short lifespans. And yeah, coming up Aurora Ridge, I think this first area is called.
Sure.
One of them I know is Aurora Ridge. these devilish snowballs right here, by the way, too, that literally the only way to destroy them is to get them to run into something else. Even the Soul Blade, the strongest sword in the game, can't actually damage
The Soul
snowballs.
Blade does hurt them.
Oh, it does?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I mean, we won't get it until near the end of the game, so.
So we get grab another medical herb there, along with another armor upgrade. I mean, the magic armor is not expressly required, but it's just such a trivial detour, and the passive effect for it is so nice that we grab that. And the magic armor actually halves the amount of gems that our spells do, and it comes at a perfect time too, because we are still using the weakest sword in the game, the Sword of Life, for all combat, and it's getting fairly outdated at this point as far as how much health a lot of these enemies have. So the fact that we're able to do light arrows for only 4 gems now instead of 8, kind of really changes the dynamics of how a lot of the combat works in the Mountain of Souls to be just very, very magic heavy.
Yeah. We're also starting to get better odds to get the bigger gems, but it's still not great.
Yeah, there's none of the moose enemies here aren't required, but they can get in your way pretty easily. So took a couple of them out just for a bit of consistency.
They're really tanky, but the magic does so well. One reason why the light arrow is so powerful is because it hits the enemies, like especially larger enemies like those moose. It can hit them multiple times, and so that's why it does so much damage.
All right, so then we. In addition to just giving us like spells or items or experience, the fairies that come out of blue gems can also teleport us back to town. And in that case, we did that instead of taking an intentional death in order to preserve our gems, and because it's right there too. Because we had to come back to get the very stylish mushroom shoes that have snail goo on them in order to be able to walk on ice floors without them kind of basically being conveyor belts is what they do normally. I know a bit of a holy grail for this run too is finding a way to skip the mushroom shoes, because that would be a pretty big time save if you somehow could get through this area without the mushroom shoes.
I think I remember just for so many minutes trying back then to be like, oh, can I do this without it? Like when I was 9 or wherever. Oh, I need to get those shoes. That would help.
There's only a few places in the game where you can actually do this, where you saw Dented cleared this layer earlier, and then since we were backtracking, he was able to kind of like very smoothly just move on without actually touching it and then get it later.
Yeah, so this is the required use of the mushroom shoes here, and we're done now. Yeah, Dented just swaps back to the power bracelet there, since it doesn't express the need anymore. And it's a fairly easy mistake to make, to forget to actually re-equip the power bracelet here, because it's not something you really notice until you get to the boss, and then it's uh-oh, because it kind of throws off the quick kill strats.
Turns a 3-cycle battle into a 6-cycle if you don't have it equipped. So.
Yeah. So this is the slowest spawning layer in the game. This is actually, it's a multi-spawning layer, not a single spawner. It's just that the spawn rate is so slow.
And just for good measure, you have to wait for it to pop, too.
I just love how in this area you're just digging out the different caverns. It's so much fun.
And shoutouts to the the icicles on the ceiling too.
Ooh,
it's
yeah.
a really neat effect, especially for still a fairly early Super Nintendo game. This came out in '92. So the combat with these bats is fairly challenging too, just because you're getting pushed downward by the ice here, and trying to kind of keep the bats under control, because like a lot of the enemies in this game do not have randomness to them. Like their movement and AI is just completely reactionary based on what you do and your proximity to them. And like those bats, you can kind of bait to do what you want.
Yeah, to beat one of the bats, it takes a couple hits of your light arrow, and if the light arrow is moving with the bat, it does easily enough damage to kill it. But if the light arrow is kind of moving the opposite direction as a bat, it's not going to get enough damage to beat it in one shot. So Dented is working it out here so that the arrow is going the right way. You have to manage, where your soul is, and while the bat is, where the soul is, where the bat is. And this is why we were trying to beat these wizard enemies from a further distance away, is because if you get too close, they actually teleport away.
And they're invincible while doing so, too. So yet another reason why we wanted that magic armor is just because we wanted to ideally kill pretty much all of those teleporting wizards with light arrows. All right, so we finally got a sword upgrade, but unfortunately we actually can't swing it yet because of a mechanic where every sword in the game actually has a level requirement that you have to be in order to swing it. But there's ways around that. We'll probably be seeing later. But for now, equipping the Lucky Blade gives us a passive effect where it actually boosts the rate for big drops of bigger gems.
You can still put it out and poke with it, but you only get that poke effect.
Yeah. And one thing I guess we didn't really call attention to earlier too is that when you're doing the crab walk with your sword extended, you also are using telekinesis power to pull in gems too. And I love too how the speed that they come to you depends on the size of the gem, because it's just as far as how physics works in the real world.
Here's another case where if you can beat some extra enemies along with the wizards that we need to beat there, we can grab some extra gems.
Alright, so we're done with the mushroom shoes again, so we'll swap back to the power bracelet.
Shouts to a Japanese runner I saw, Nico Doga, who I'm not sure what their name is, but I kind of saw that strategy and I was like, okay, that's really nice, especially. Sometimes I'm like really easy at kind of forgetting to re-equip that power bracelet.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of different strategies for this last section over the years too, as far as just kind of what order you tackle the layers in and how much kind of multitasking you try to do
Yeah.
between them.
There's a lot of potential strats because you can see the bats, once they've kind of lashed onto you, they'll keep following you. So you can get these bats to like follow you and then clear some other layers while the bats are circling you and then clear the bats at the same time. All sorts of possibilities here.
That was really good lane there.
Yeah.
Alright, so yeah, and kind of like at the top too, instead of actually doing a death warp to get out of here, we're actually unsealing the warp tile because every world, in addition to having the warp tile that takes us to the town, has two that'll take us to midpoints in the dungeon areas too. But both of them need to be unsealed via layers, and a lot of them are going to be skipped. But some of them it does make sense to activate them for fast travel.
Yeah. 2 of them will be midpoints, and 1 will be the boss. Or I guess it'll just be 1 that's a midpoint, 1 to the town, and 1 to the boss.
Yeah, there's generally 1 right before the boss. Which is very, very nice casually too, just because a lot of these bosses are very rough playing this game for the first time. It's important to have a good memory for how many of these wizards are in each of the layers too, because you want to approach the layer when it's about to pop, so you're standing on it, but you don't want there to be another wizard coming out, because once they're, if you're too close, the wizard will start teleporting before you can actually hurt it at all, just because like every enemy does have some iframes when it first spawns.
We had another strategy where we got in just the right position so that both layers spawned their enemies, and we were able to shoot them, kind of saving the time to spawn all those enemies.
Yeah, it's the Lost Core, I think, on that one. First time I saw that.
So we're actually coming up on the boss, even though there's a lot. There's still some stuff we're going to have to do in the underground Lake Loon area fairly soon. None of it is required to actually get to the boss, so. Just heading straight for Poseidon in the U.S. version, or I think it's Medusa in the Japanese version. And Poseidon's aim is a little off, too, if you're standing right in front of him. I always love the shimmering water effect in Poseidon's arena, too.
Ooh, yeah.
Very soothing.
Yes, there's a little bit of randomness as far as what direction Poseidon moves, but it doesn't matter because he telegraphs it, so it's not like you have to guess or anything. Yeah, very clean fight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, the difficulty of the bosses in the speedrun is pretty inconsistent too. Like Solid Arm, fairly tough as far as getting that poke in without keeping your position. The lion head statues are really, really hard.
Yeah.
But, yeah, after that we get a little bit of a break. All right, so we've defeated Poseidon and released the Mountain King, who's the leader of the town there. But and so we've unlocked what we need in order to be able to progress to the next world. But there is some more stuff we need to do here in order to be able to finish the game. So we're going to take care of that now. That's to release 2 very, very special grandmas that are in monster layers here. We do have to do several other layers just to kind of gain access to the layers that we actually need.
So the passive bonus for our Lucky Blade is that we get extra big gems, and what is it odds? Like it's a double odds.
Something like that.
Yeah. I know it's a little finicky because it's basically just changing a table that the game's looking at, kind of based on the frame that you kill an enemy. So it's not like perfect math, but kind of roughly double kind of feels about right. And then, kind of, I believe the main reasons why we saved this until after Poseidon is both it both speeds up the cutscene of rescuing the Mountain King because if the grandmas are already there, they have a bit of
That's
extra
right.
text at that point, and then also just for kind of movement efficiency and also setting up the intentional death because he's able to wear down his health at this point. Because whenever you beat a boss, you get a full heal out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we could probably hear a word or so from Blaze while we're finishing our business here and moving on to the next world.
For sure, yeah. We're in our final day here of RPG Limit Break 2025. Got a few more runs after this, and we got some great donations coming in as we close in on $70,000 raised for NAMI. Cardboard Decoy sends in $50 and just says, thank you guys for all you do. And Return of MCH donates $1 and says, good luck to T-Pat and Joker. Do LARPus proud. Just a quick update there. We've got our name bid wars. Name the Pikachu. Lesser Eevee is currently in the lead with $10. Name the player character. Larpus is in the lead with $30. And to name the rival, we have Lapras, not to be confused with Larpus, at $11. So some good naming bid wars there. You guys still got time to get those in. And yeah, let's keep making that push towards 70K and beyond here this morning.
Yeah, then kind of the structure here is a little interesting too, because even though we rescued the Mountain King, we're not actually talking to him because we don't need to talk to him until later on when we're doing a segment right before the final boss. But we do need to rescue the Mountain King to open the prison cells because in addition to a pet dog and a pet dolphin. Leo the inventor also had a pet snail.
A giant snail.
A giant snail named Gnome, who gave us the rock. Again, the rocks being the keys to the world of evil. And we'll get to hear some really banging music for Leo's lab here. Now we're starting one of the really challenging parts of the run too, the start of the fifth world. And that's largely just because of how underleveled we are, because
nice.
we're just that's some really nice shots there. We're just kind of popping in very briefly in order to get to that chest up there that has our next sword called the Zantetsu sword, or I believe that's metal slashing. I think
that's right.
It's in Japanese, which is going to finally give us the ability to hurt metal enemies that we've been seeing since Leo's painting back in the first world. But you need to be level 16 in order to swing the Zantetsu sword. But since we can still equip swords without meeting the level requirement, and we can poke enemies with it, we're able to make do. But just because of the intricacies of beating a lot of these metal enemies with the poke, and then also just kind of how low the damage is compared to the swinging, that just makes a lot of this combat really, really challenging.
Luckily, the power ring also affects our poking damage, and so even enemies with really strong defense, we're still able to do 2 points of damage every tick on our pokes because of that power ring.
And I mean, a big part of why this is so difficult too is that it also comes back to the fact that Dented skipped getting the ice armor back in Greenwood, the second world, because the ice armor has a passive buff where you're immune to damage from heated floors. It doesn't work on the lava and durian, but it works on basically any other type of heated floor. And there's some of those coming up here in the next part of Leo's basement. Leo's lab is the fifth world that we're in now, and so a lot of the health that we have right now is kind of spoken for as far as needing it to damage boost across the heated tiles, and then just kind of movement efficiency combined with a heal from a level up combined with a medical herb is how we're going to get through this area without the ice armor at a pretty low level. This fight is really, really touchy too, because those rocket mice kind of can break away and go all around the world before
they move really fast. The only chance you have is that they pause a little bit at the corner, so you really got to get them while they're going through that corner. And again, we can't slash with our metal slasher sword, so all Dented can do is poke at them a little bit while they're kind of moving around. It's very precise.
He did have a backup for that very first fight too, where there was another layer that he popped that he could step on to release his soul that you don't actually need, but it would reset the mice layer too, and doing that would be faster than waiting for the mice that got away to loop back.
Another clever strategy where we, while Dented was beating the helicopter enemies on that bottom layer, he was also spawning the cleaning robots on the top layer.
I think I called them squeegees. I think what is it done to call them scrubbing bubbles or
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, and it's important to also know too which of these enemies specifically need the Zantetsu sword too. It's most of them, but it's not all of them. Like the squeegees, you can actually use other weapons on and magic, so that's why he was using light arrows on those. Yeah, and remember how we said the lore of this game too is that everything has a soul, including things you wouldn't normally think. And in Leo's lab, it's doors and stairs and
Furniture.
Yeah.
Think about that next time you remodel your house.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I highly, highly, highly recommend a casual playthrough of this game too.
Oh, yeah.
If this looks fun and anyone hasn't played it, because there's so much fun stuff that that you don't see in speedruns too. Like just so many great interactions with NPCs that you release. Like there's a potted plant that you can release here that gives you medical herbs, and it says "ouch" whenever you whenever you pull one too.
Yeah.
And just like there's mice that have holes and stuff. But yeah, that was a nice Leo's base.
That was very
clean. One of the most difficult segments of the run.
Yeah, Dented made that look a lot easier than it is. That is a really hard and dangerous area.
Like my PB, I still get the ice armor, even though it costs about 2 minutes specifically for that area.
There's so many different ways to run this game, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's such an accessible speed game too. Like there's just so many kind of little things you can do to make it easier, depending on kind of what your skill level is and kind of how tightly you want to try to.
So one of the optimizations is that Dented is now using the Lucky Blade because it's swingable at level 15, and so. Getting the bonus, being able to swing your sword's a nice bonus. You can see we've got that stun effect again, and that's going to make some of these enemies just a lot easier because we can just keep swinging that, and we can also get some extra gems from its effect. And since we're swinging our sword instead of using our magic on everything, we've got a chance to build up some gems, and we're going to need that magic on some of these enemies.
Yeah, so we're in some of Dr. Leo's model towns, basically, or as I like to call them, product placement for DentedRazor, which was the first game made by Quintet. It's probably their best known game too. Because just the look and feel of these towns remind me a lot of the towns in DentedRazor.
And the sounds.
Yeah, these are very strange areas too, as far as having rocking horse knights and then these like Lilliputian archers that hurt you really badly for how small they are.
Yeah, you quickly realize if you don't have armor equipped.
Yeah. Yeah, you notice at some points when he's taking a warp, he unequips his armor, and if you forget to re-equip it, it can be kind of rough.
Yeah, so we're almost done here because we're basically just coming in here primarily to release the second model town, and then it works out nicely too that there's a shortcut we can open to just walk out and then walk to the second model town, and that's way faster than doing a death warp.
Another shout out to Almagus for the multitasking there that I saw.
This is model town number 2. This one's going to go a lot faster because there's only one thing that we need to get here, and there's nothing in our way. In the first model town you saw, there's a few spots where we had to clear a layer just to open up the path to go through. This one we can just walk right around to the spot we need and just focus on that.
Yeah, and we do have a somewhat challenging fight here because of us skipping the companion soul for this area, which lets us see invisible enemies. There's these invisible catapults, and then there's like these invisible like nightmare fuel houses elsewhere in here too. But yeah, the catapults. I mean, they load in the same position every time. So just as long as you know where they are,
and they don't move.
Yeah, then we just, once we've done that, then we just walk into the invisible house enemies to.
So you notice for that warp, Dennet didn't take off his armor because these enemies do so much damage now that it just wasn't necessary to get get our HP down that fast.
Yeah, so then while we were in the model town, we hit level 16, which finally lets us swing the Zantetsu sword. And then it's just a night and day difference as far as how fighting the metal enemies in Leo's lab goes when you're actually properly leveled. It's a mechanic I'm very surprised the developers chose to put into, because when you play this game normally and you're just unsealing everything, you're basically always going to hit the level requirements for each sword before you get it. So I found it kind of interesting that they chose to have that requirement.
Maybe they really liked the game Willow back then.
Shoutouts to Von Ivan, our resident Willow expert, too. All right, so there isn't really a ton of required combat we have to do to get to Tyndall, the World 5 boss. There's two different routes to, as far as whether you unseal the warp tile or not. Like I think in normal runs, Dented skips it, but he's just for a bit of safety because of how quickly the Tyndall fight can go off the rails with some kind of bad positioning. He's unsealing this just so he has a. Just so he can get his health back from stepping in the monster lair, and then also have a fast travel if he takes a death on Tyndall.
That hit by the spike made me a little nervous there, so want to make sure that we're going good here.
Yeah. So with a full health bar, this fight is not so bad. There are some ways you can kind of juke him. The basic trick here is that if you stay just to the left of him, he won't move left or right. He'll only move up and down. He's still shooting fireballs at you, so this fight is not free.
Yeah, you do not want Tyndall, or My Buddy, as Ever Hate called him. And apologies if that got the My Buddy song stuck in anybody's head. You do not want Tyndall to kind of break away from that starting column, because then it kind of does all this wild stuff as far as like jumping onto those yellow like platforms on the side to kind of jump around the room.
Yeah, shoutouts to Mr. Freet for kind of the latest adjustment to that. Kind of, you saw I moved a half tile over and put my sword to the right. It seems like it helps get more consistently defeat the boss right when it's at the bottom there. So big shoutouts to him.
Yeah. It also makes it easier to dodge the fireballs.
Very much so.
And then the safety we took as far as getting the warp tile also just lets us get out of there too without having to wear down our health.
So it's going to be a bit of a walk here. I think it's a good time for anything else from our host.
We've got $5 donated by Lavington, who says, ActRazor was one of my pinnacle gaming experiences growing up. How do you think the game holds up today? Does it get enough appreciation in the RPG genre? Very underrated to me. So just a question for thought as we're playing one of these great quintet games. And I've had the pleasure of hosting multiple quintet games this year. I also hosted Robotrek earlier on, so nice. I'm definitely getting a healthy dose here myself. So
yeah, I just love quintet's games are just so charming. Like they all have these very well thought out and unique mechanics and design choices that never really overstay their welcome.
I also feel just so polished compared to other games.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they have very deep themes and stories too. Like this game has a lot of depth to it as far as just the concept of souls and reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets even more so when we get to Illusion of Gaia and Terranigma. All right, so World 6 is Magrid Castle. The main storyline of the game, as far as King Magrid kind of selling the souls of his people to the devil, effectively, for money, has kind of mostly been on hold for most of the game thus far, but we're kind of resuming it now that we're actually going to King Magrid's castle. Some pretty cool new strats for these ghosts here, as far as because these ghosts have random teleporting, and then Benton is doing this kind of back and forth manipulation to kind of try to minimize the number of chances that they have to teleport.
Yeah.
And there's shout out to Mr. Freet.
So I don't know if the ghosts teleport. I think they just turn invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And but when they turn invisible, you can't hurt them, but they're still moving. And they move 2 spaces in each direction. So there are safe spots. Okay, and here we see a cool trick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the only kind of real useful glitch in this game. This is a very solidly programmed game where he's exploiting the fact that he can change swords mid-swing animation, and then once he completes the menu, it he has the properties of the new sword, so he's using that to basically cheat the level requirement for the spirit sword that he just picked up that can hurt ghosts and spirits.
Yeah, pretty cool trick.
Shows how precise it is too. I kind of messed it up a little bit there,
Yeah.
but no, it's still it's helpful there. We used to use it on the first and the upcoming Ghost Slayer, but we found that not using it there actually saves a bit of time.
And doing it optimally is way harder than it looks too, especially given that it's actually different menus, different buttons to open and close the menu in this game.
So we're gonna pick up another one of these pots of possibilities here.
And yeah, these invisible chests you can see if you rescue a companion soul in this world, but like a lot of things, if we know where it is, we can get
No.
it.
There's actually a soul in each world, and but we don't get any of them because we don't need them. We can either find out where the invisible enemies are ourselves, or go through the dark rooms, or deal with falling lava and so on.
One of my favorite songs in here too.
So much sublimely chill music in this game.
So these pinball enemies, if you kind of don't approach them the right way, they can be kind of tricky. They're a lot easier to take out with magic, but Dented wants to save his gems for some other places. So using some strats to take them out with his sword pretty easily by taking just a few well-placed damage hits.
The pixels come on. There we go.
Yeah, you have to step exactly on that layer. And normally when you're stepping around, you only move half tiles at a time. But there's a few things that can kind of get you off that half tile buffer. And if you do, then it can be a little tricky to get back on it sometimes. You have to like walk into a wall to kind of like get yourself back on there.
Equipping the strange bottle he just recently picked up too, to be able to do a death warp here without losing his gems.
And that was a really clean basement, because those ghosts can really get away from you. Dennet did an amazing job, and he's got a really high gem count here.
Oh. I think that's the highest I've seen for that. Then again, yeah, very glad for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a nice safe way to take out those ghosts, as far as just kind of standing diagonal to them as they spawn and letting them kind of play ring around the rosy with you while you have your sword extended. But yeah, the way Dented did it is a lot faster.
All depends how comfortable you are with fighting with the hokey pokey there. So.
So we're gonna hear the best song in the game.
Yeah, which
I don't know.
Eventually becomes the credits song too. Yeah.
There are no words.
Yep.
Unless you find the lyrical
I
version.
like the girl's name was something like Lisa.
It was pizza.
Yes. So we have to give the very kind of dastardly hidden harp string in the dungeon to the harpist to kind of get the guard to not stop standing on a key card that we need in order to get into the West Tower.
Good gift card for Buffalo Wild Wings. So.
The title of the song is "A Night Without a Lover." And it does play during the credits, but we're probably not going to be able to go that, because it's quite a ways into the credits.
All the more reason people should play this game themselves too.
Oh yeah.
I always appreciate how these chess knights do move like chess knights too, as far as 1 and 2 tiles.
So we have another area here where the enemies are very brutal, do a lot of damage, and Dennet is just blazing right through. It looks like he's it looks like he's kind of playing it pretty risky, but this is actually conservative compared to his world record strats. You've got to see it.
Unfortunately, should be relatively close to getting a level 19 too, which gives us a heal, along with being able to finally equip the spirit sword naturally, which we don't need it for fighting stuff here, but it's a better sword, so let's skill things faster.
There's a lot of spirit to it. Sorry.
love the bass line for this music too.
I think Dr. Leo, in addition to his art and his machines and his pets, I think he had to have been a musician or has some sort of appreciation for music, because just all the areas associated with him have just banging soundtracks.
Yeah, so this is where we're finally releasing Dr. Leo, the inventor, who's just the main, pretty much the main character of the story in a lot of ways. And it's very important that we release him before we release another soldier that goes into this area too. Just because if you've released both soldiers before Dr. Leo, then Dr. Leo has a lot more dialogue. It's like 5 seconds or more.
Yeah. And that's a difference between the U.S. Version. So in the faster text of the Japanese version, it doesn't matter. But because the text is so slow, it makes a difference to get that text out.
And then here we're using a gem fairy to get out quickly, and I think the main reason for that is just because this is still faster than finding an enemy to run down your health on too, because we've already defeated everything in the prison here.
Gems are so helpful too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk to the Queen, who we released, and she's going to ask us a question here. Do you think she's pretty?
But thou must.
She'll give us an Olive Garden gift card now. So.
Yeah. So think about it this way. We went to the Queen's room, and she asked if she was pretty, and she slipped a key card in our pocket. This is a pretty racy scene.
Yeah. I think the Queen, the Queen's title or something, I think has some different implications to it in the Japanese version too. It's just something that just doesn't really have like a clean equivalent in English.
In Japanese, her title is more like Empress or Prime Consort or something like that. So she's like the main, kind of like the main queen, and it's also like implied in the ending. The king also says like, I'm surrounded by beautiful women. So he's, it's not necessarily a monogamous situation here. Which kind of, lends, kind of supports this situation where the queen is kind of a very like scheming kind of person, because, that's kind of a feature of that sort of dynamic and political dynamic.
Yeah. So the fighting here is kind of interesting because he just had all of these layers he had to seal up while dealing with these shooting statues here. The statues only do 1 damage, which isn't really that much at this point, and you can also kind of shut them down by standing right next to them too.
Yeah, and these enemies do so much damage. Like, that is an amazing amount of health to have after that section.
You too, then.
And taking a little extra movement to the left there kind of baits that chest knight to just jump out of the way. All right, so we're rapidly coming up on the Demon Bird or Demon Falcon or RPG Jerkbird. It's some people call this the World 6 boss too. Because this boss is a very, very annoying source of randomness. Like a lot of the run has been pretty consistent since we came out of the Second World, where we had like some randomly teleporting enemies and the grabby vines and stuff. But now we've got like Everhate's nickname for this boss was Storm Eagle. It's a lot like Storm Eagle from Mega Man X as far as how its AI can kind of choose to either kind of move back and forth and shoot fireballs at you, or swoop. And every swoop costs a few seconds.
So we're going to be counting those swoops and hoping that we don't get too many.
And it kind of feels like it's roughly 50-50 odds per cycle, too.
But first we have the Leo cutscene. Mm-hmm. And Leo finally confronts the Queen here, but the Queen has kidnapped Lisa.
I guess the Queen was kind of behind the scheme to summon Death Toll all along or something. I admit it, as many times as I've played this game, I don't fully understand exactly the
opening, clearly said it was the king, mm-hmm. But, apparently the king was just doing it to impress the Queen. All right. And thankfully, the soldiers are all gonna.
We're moonwalking into Dr. Leo here.
Thankfully, the soldiers are all in one group, and so
And,
Dr. Leo,
and Lisa is not, too.
yeah. She must be standing just far enough away that, And you're supposed to go talk to Dr. Leo here and get his last words, which
Which are very, very long, yeah.
Yeah, so instead, we're just going to go on.
Let's go jump on the airship that we were going to use to escape from the people. We just blew up. Anyway, Demon Falcon time, so...
Oh, yeah.
Swoop or no swooping.
Let's see how it goes. So it is important too that between every cycle, Dented does move down to the to here just to kind of bait the boss to kind of go high up enough so that when it gives us a good pattern, it'll be in poke range. So we need 2 fireball patterns to get the kill. That's what, 4?
Oh, yeah.
Each one is about 3.7 seconds or 4 seconds just to beat, so gets a little demoralizing when you've gone through Great One to get 10 swoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, his fireballs do a lot of damage, and if you're not careful, those can take you out too.
Thankfully, those fireballs are made out of a lot of sprites that kind of despawn themselves by accident.
And it also kind of feels like the little bit of lag you get from poking the boss kind of helps despawn the fireballs too. At least that's what it feels like to me. Yeah, we have the key on our back, I guess, to to stop the airship.
Lisa's gonna make another Tsundere move here. She's tells us she thinks about us all the time, and she wonders if we're a real human being.
I think you get the same response regardless of what you say, too.
Mm-hmm.
So even though our only interaction with Lisa was to invade her dreams and then run away, she's got some feelings for us now, apparently.
Just that charming.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so with King Magrid rescued, because again, King Magrid kind of neglected to think about selling all of the souls to Death Toll for money, included himself. We go get the final stone we need to unlock the World of Evil from him, and then we also go back to where the Queen was to get a very well hidden and very good item, which is the Super Bracelet, which is because we had the Power Bracelet, which doubles our attack power. There was another bracelet we skipped earlier called the Shield Bracelet, which doubles your defense, and then you have the Super Bracelet that kind of does both at the same time. So yeah, I could probably get a word in from our host, I guess, when we're moving on to the World of Evil, the final world of the game.
Fantastic. Yeah, I got a couple of donations here. I've got $25 from Jazzy-san, who says, Soul Blazer was one of my favorite games growing up, so I had to donate. Thanks to DentedRazor for repping it and for inspiring me to run the game myself. Good luck. You are absolutely crushing it. Swooper, no swooping. And then we have $5 from Dent in Your Head that also says, Swooper, no swooping.
Now the King of Evil turns on all the safety lights on the skyscrapers so we can fly in there safely.
Yeah. Yeah, so the World of Evil is different from the other worlds in that there's no town. We're just going straight into to the dungeon area, and then we're very rapidly going to be seeing what I call Quintet space, which is this space background that the Quintet kind of snuck into basically every one of their games. Like we saw it in RoboTrek for like the cutscenes before and after the final boss, and then in this game it's the background for the World of Evil. Yeah, so since there's no town, there's no souls to rescue here. Just all of the layers that we have to seal are just for removing obstacles and stuff in our way.
We do get some psychedelic music and some psychedelic to go with the psychedelic background here. Okay, so Dennett's gonna do a cool strat here. There's another layer up there that's spawning the bugs, and he's letting those bugs come so that he can kind of beat everything real all at once.
Yeah, taking a lot of damage, but just the way that the experience scaling works in this game is that enemies start just the amount of experience they're worth jumps up a lot when you get to a new world, and that just into speedrun that translates into that you usually get leveled up fairly quickly after you come to a new world, if not two. And he's taking advantage of that to get some free heals.
One of my favorite songs in the game as well.
Oh yeah.
It's not really the kind of music you'd normally expect for like the world of the devil, too,
Yeah.
but it's so good too.
I think in the Japanese version it's called Hell or Heck.
Alright, so we get the soul armor, the best armor in the game, which is going to be a requirement pretty soon as far as letting us. It lets us breathe in outer space, but not underwater.
Yeah, it protects you from the scaries.
Yep, we get the spooky meteors with the scary faces in the background that the soul armor protects us from. You notice how almost everything is dropping a big gem at this point, too, even without the lucky blade. And that's just because each world has its own drop rate for gems, and the world of evil is kind of very, very skewed towards big ones. With the soul blade, the best sword in the game that can basically just damage anything that's not just flat out invincible.
Doing these evil drywall plates.
Really gaming that last bug and that layer to just to string them along so that we can optimize that. And now we have a grind.
Yeah, we have an outer space training montage going on here. We're kind of as proof that early 90s Japanese video game developers were big fans of internet memes. The amount of experience that we need to beat this game is 420,000 to beat Soul Blazer. And the reason for that is because in order to be able to cause damage to the second form of the final boss, we need to be able to cast the Phoenix spell that we'll be getting in a few minutes. And we have to be able to swing the Soul Blade to call the Phoenix. And the level requirement for the Soul Blade is level 24. So we're doing this fairly brief grinding session here in order to kind of get to the amount of experience we need so that the stuff that we have to fight for the rest of the game will get us to our goal.
The Phoenix is different from the other spells in that it comes out of your sword and you rather than your orb.
All right, so then we're supposed to know about the Phoenix by this point too, because if you talk to the Mountain King, the leader of the town World 4, he gives us some clues about the Phoenix and how we find it, which is to find the red hot items, which are kind of like the Queen is something that has a lot more significance in the Japanese version because they're kind of meant to represent the I think it's the imperial regalia of Japan.
That's right. Yeah, we got the 3 red hot items, and we already picked up one of them in the World of Evil there. So I guess going into the theology of this world here, it started out. We've got a master that looks sort of like a god in the sky. It's a very kind of Christian mythos. But as we get in further, we see that there's a lot of Shinto references to this everything having a soul. We have references to reincarnation. So it's like a lot of other Japanese games. They kind of took all the different parts of different cultures and religions, and just put together whatever sounds fun. I think of the reincarnation. A lot of them talk about an animal that moved in, and you have to think about what animal you'll be when you are reincarnated as animal and adopted by your spouse.
So we're heading back. So we're having to go find the red hot items to get the Phoenix spell, and we're heading back to Durian now to release a mermaid that's going to give us the red hot stick. Because the Phoenix resides on the stick, because she's going to be telling us that was one of Everhate's traditional raid messages. This is also where we take advantage of the fact that we skipped the mermaid's tears earlier, because that Dented ran down his health a bit by not re-equipping the bubble armor. Because, like I said, the soul armor lets you breathe in outer space, but not underwater. So he ran down his health while walking towards Durian, and then just stepping into the magma that's still there because of not using the mermaid tears gives us a faster death warp. So then, then to get the remaining red hot item, we head back to Greenwood, where we fight some enemies that we need either the Spirit Sword or the Soul Blade for. And then we have to play kind of an annoying game of catch the jerk bird in town. But I guess while we're doing that, we could probably squeeze in a few words from Blaze.
Absolutely. KR Shush donates $10 and says, "Good morning, RPG Limit Break. I'll be unable to tune in much today, so I'm jump scaring my future VOD watching self. Boo! Good luck to all the runners." That was good. I hope you're not too scared right now, KR Shush. But just to close out that donation comment, the donator says, "Good luck to all the runners one last time, and let's try to hit those last incentives." Yeah, we do have a couple of incentives that we are closing in on, as well as those Pokemon Let's Go naming bid wars that you can donate for right now. We're almost to 70K as well. Let's keep it up, everybody.
And if all this moving around in the dark looks scary to you, you can get a soul that lets you see what you're doing too. It costs some time, like probably like 20, 30 seconds or so. But
we walked right by it. He's
Yeah.
kind of wordy, and it just takes too long to talk to him.
So we have to get the bird to fly away and then sneak up on it without triggering it to fly away again.
He's a shy bird, and so you have to sneak up behind him. And if you don't talk to him right away, he'll fly away again.
Had definitely some runs that got an extra 10 seconds from that.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Everyone's done that.
All right, so now that we have all of the red hot items, now we can head to the Mountain King to get the Phoenix spell. We actually have to talk to him twice, because first we get the dialogue that we were kind of meant to get after defeating Poseidon earlier, and then we can actually get the Phoenix.
And this is going to be a little bit of a scene. I think of it as a seventh inning stretch, so it's a good time to kind of, get up and make sure you're...
Yeah, very much so. Also coming up with what we call lovingly in the randomizer community, the Dancing Grandmas. And since Queen Anne B can't be here, I'll just do a quick thing when that happens. Dancing Grandmas are the best because their cookies taste the best. The end. All right, there you go.
Oh, that one was free.
Dancing Grandmas.
Yes, she loves singing a song every time we get Dancing Grandmas during tournaments. So shout out to her for keeping that positivity in that community.
Yeah, again, Phoenix, something that shows up in a few Quintet games too, like you can become the Phoenix in ActRazor 2, and then you use the Phoenix really for the same purpose in Illusion of Gaia too, to fight the final boss.
Yeah, and I mean, if you've played Illusion of Gaia or, the final boss will look pretty familiar.
Yeah, it's the menu screen from Illusion of Gaia,
Yeah.
actually, yes. They reused the scrolling background for Death Toll's fight for the menu screen in Illusion of Gaia.
They like to reuse things.
Yep, and I find that very charming too, because like something I get whenever I stream runs of this game too, I get a lot of questions about wait, is this ActRazor or something? Because the sound effect for you taking damage and the look of the HUD at the top of the screen is reused from ActRazor. Also, Dented blew my mind the other day that you can just walk through to those stairs from the side like that too.
Yep.
All right, so this is Death Toll, the devil basically who stole everyone's soul. But
Nice pattern.
his first form's pretty trivial, and then we get kind of cute little chibi Death Toll, as I call him here, before we start the real fight. And by the way, time will be coming up when Death Toll's head starts to explode.
So with the super bracelet, with the extra defense, this fight is pretty safe. We can take damage from these things. The fireballs are pretty easy to dodge. And as long as you just stand still, you only take one hit each time from the lasers. And easily enough time with a couple other room in your HP for a few more hits. The annoying thing you don't want to see is the fireballs, those fire things coming on like one side of the screen to the other, making you go all the way across, but still, even then, pretty minor.
Yeah, you can kind of try to do a bit of lag mitigation here too, just because if Death Toll shoots fireballs when there's lasers on screen, it lags the game a fair bit. But a lot of times it's not really worth like waiting for the lasers to try to mitigate lag.
So it takes, if it's done exactly perfectly, it can be 12 cycles, but almost always it's going to be 13. Again, a few seconds.
Should be getting relatively close to the end here. Time.
137.
Nice.
Wow.
And that's with losing about 40 seconds or so to having an 8-character name, too.
Yeah.
That is a really good
That's
time
pretty impressive.
for a no
Thank you very
reset
much.
run. Yes, good
Yeah.
job.
I guess for shout outs, pretty much shouts to the community for Soul Blazer, like Reef, some of the probably one of the first ones who did SGDQ or Limit Break so much long ago.
I was SGDQ, yeah.
Yeah, and then Kaz for the first Taz, and then just so many great runners afterwards, like Namefaker, Omegas, the Hulk, Everhate, of course, and just so many to name. It's just fantastic community. Everyone's supporting pretty well. Well, it's in the Rando Blazer. And then I guess final shout outs to my family, especially my spouse Heath and my kiddo Gwen, for their support and letting me just play this so much at night at times. So, y'all have any shout outs?
So for the Rando Blazer community, our site is randoblazer.com, and you'll get links to our Discord and everything. We have the Soul Blazer randomizer, really fun rando too, and we also have multi-world capabilities now. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
Yes.
And again, always just, if this game looked fun to you, give it a playthrough. I mean, it's only about an 8 to 10 hour casual playthrough, and there's just a lot of really neat lore and other stuff that you don't see in a speedrun. And if it looks like a fun speedrun, give it a try too. Like I said, it's very, very accessible to get into. There's a lot of extra safeties you can do to kind of not have to do a lot of the really hard tricks, like doing the Leo's basement without ice armor and stuff. I guess is there a Discord or something people can check out if they have any questions about it too?
On the Soul Blazer page on speedrun.org, there is a link to the Quintet Speedrun Hub, that Discord that has actually for each of the Quintet games. So it also includes ActRazor Renaissance, which is the newest one there.
Oh, yeah.
But also shout outs to my commentators. You were both great.
Oh,
It was
thank you.
Fantastic
Thanks for
meeting you.
inviting me. My pleasure. Yeah.
Saw so many speedruns back then, so kind of definitely inspiration. Thanks to everyone here at Limit Breaks, been so supportive, and it's just such a great community to meet everyone. I highly recommend sometime, if you were ever in the speedrun community, getting to one of these, because it's so much fun to be able to place the face to names and just meet everyone. And also, shouts to the great host. You're great.
That's right. Yeah.
Thanks, Blaze.
Absolutely, and thank you, DentedRazor, for that fantastic run. And I have to agree, it's really great to meet people, and it's been very nice meeting you this week as well. So, GG's on a fantastic run, and we got a few more runs left to go here on the final day of RPG Limit Break 2025. Tantrum Merch is excited to partner with RPG Limit Break for the first time to launch an exclusive merch collection supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness. This lineup includes 8 unique shirt designs, including a replica of this year's 10th anniversary attendee shirt, as well as a cozy blanket, a sleek journal, an enamel pin, a stainless steel water bottle, an RPG Limit Break cap, and more, featuring bold graphics and heartfelt designs. $5 from every sale of these items goes directly to charity. Explore the full collection now at tantrummerch.com/RPG Limit Break and help make a difference. All right, everybody. I have $50 here from Lord Azuel, who says, big fan of Quintet's games. Me too. This has been a really fun weekend, getting to host some Quintet games and some other stuff as well. We are going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we will continue getting set up for our next run, which is Pokemon Let's Go by Thomas Patrick WX and Joker Sleeps. So we will be back shortly, everybody.